Hey guys, Chris Love, the Normal Fat Guy here on Spartan Obstacles to talk about yesterday's AT&T Stadium Sprint. And as you can see, I got 2 medals because I did complete 2 laps. But man, it was brutal. And if you were there yesterday, hats off to you because that was a very, very difficult course. Now, I got to watch the men's elite heat on Facebook this afternoon after I got back. I haven't watched the women's yet, but I got to say the coverage that they did, the play-by-play with all the rabbits running around with them, fantastic. That's exactly what obstacle course racing needs. They need to have that kind of coverage. And I know Tough Mudder has done some kind of sort of similar stuff on their feeds, but let's face it, it ain't Spartan racing. Anyway, so I was going to review some things from the race now that my head's a little bit clearer than it was yesterday when I did my quick post-race recap. Now, I haven't looked at my open run time. I don't really care, to be honest with you. I know it was under 2 hours. I'll just take that for what it is. But my regular run was 1 hour 13:35, which is by far the longest stadium run that I've had, and the farthest separation from me to the top elite racers ever at a stadium race. Now, Robert Killian finished in around 32 minutes. Ryan Kent was less than a minute behind him, maybe 20-30 seconds. And I saw something he posted today that he actually didn't press the start button on the Aerodyne bikes or the assault bikes fast enough or correctly, and he lost like 10 seconds. Oh well, still got second. Bracken was behind him. So they all say finished under 34 minutes. Now usually when the top guys are in the 30 to 35 minute range, I'm somewhere in the 50-minute range, 50 to 51. Granted, I did flub 2 obstacles. But that's still not an excuse for 1 hour 13:35. Holy cow, where did that come from? But I take solace in knowing that there were some people that started near me, that finished around me and after me. But I also know there's some places where I screwed up and it cost me. Now, first thing, I was doing really, really good till I missed my spear throw, which I'm not really doing much anymore, is missing spear throws. But Tuesday when I was practicing, I was pulling them to the left. Sometimes that kind of stuff happens, and I really wasn't thinking or focusing like I should have when I hit that spear throw, and I shot it just a few inches off to the left. Now, if it had been a trail race with the hay bales, it'd have nailed that spear and I wouldn't have thought anything of it. But the Stadium Series spear throws are narrow compared to the hay bales. Basically, it's like turning a hay bale up on its top, so you got less horizontal space to actually hit that target, and that's what screwed me up. And that's okay. When I did in the open class, I hit a dead center because I adjusted my trajectory just a little bit to the right. Now, if I hadn't have done that, I think I would have finished a lot faster. Still, I may not have made 1 hour, but I would have finished it a lot faster, not to say than in the least. Now, I was cooking up to that point. I know I had taken, I think, just about everybody in my group and most of the people in the group ahead of me and a few in the group ahead of them. Put that in perspective. Now, the problem is when I missed that spear throw, a few people made it and went on past me, and I lost some gas. And face it, when you stop to have to do 15 burpees after you just did 20 over at the Atlas Stone, you're going to be a little bit more gas than you should have, plus you're all out there in the heat. Then you hit that staircase, and that's right about the time I started feeling it in my quads. I don't know about you, but that's when I started feeling it in my quads. I was able to push through fairly good up to that point, and I was cooking all right. The sandbag carry took a little bit out of me too. Those sandbags are really heavy on the stadium races this year, so I have got to step up my game and do some more heavy sandbag carries. I got a workout planned, and hopefully I'll share it with you soon. Now, I want to fast forward a little bit further into the race to the multi-rig. And for some reason, this has just crushed me in the stadium races this year, and I've just done horrible at it, and I haven't made it yet in the stadium race. In fact, I didn't make it the second time through either. But, excuse me, I think part of it is because out at Urban Fit, I have really gotten into swinging on those rings. But it feels like the rings at the races are covered in butter. I swear they put butter or Vaseline on those rings, and I'm just not hanging on to those things when I'm swinging. So the first time through, like most of the other stadium races, I made it to the second or third ring. And yesterday, literally, I slipped off on the first big swing, and that was it. And it was just crushing to me. After that, I really had no more gas to try to get up any speed, and that's when people really started kind of leaving me in the dust. So in the open class run, when I hit that, I went back to the technique that did work for me last year. And I felt a little more justified after watching a lot of the top elites go through there and do the exact same thing, including the winner, Robert Killian. And that is grab a ring, hold on with the next one, and then basically shoot across, okay? And I got all the way to the baseball, except I didn't pay attention to my technique on that one. I was so worried about grabbing that baseball that I didn't get enough forward momentum on that last ring to really get a good grip on the first Tarzan rope at the baseball. And I grabbed it a little bit wrong, and I've got something going on with one of my knuckles on here when I grab those baseballs, and I really hate doing it, and it just really gave me some excruciating pain. It made it really hard for me to try to reach over with the next hand and maintain that grip. My hand just wouldn't do it. So I was really frustrated because I was right there at the end and almost got it and almost ran a clean race the second time through. So I was just literally, maybe that close to doing it. So I'm going to try to clean that up before Busch Stadium, which is my next stadium race. And hopefully it'll help me out up here at Palmerton too, which is actually my next race. So now, towards the end of the race, I think that's when it got really, really difficult. And the first time through, I thought there was something wrong with me. And that is, I'm going to call it the stairwell of death. That's that stairwell we had to bear crawl 6 floors on. So I think we started first floor, we got to go up twice, and then we hit those bear crawls, and it just kept going and going and going. But the real problem, in my opinion, is there was no air circulation in there, definitely no air conditioning, and honestly, in that second lap through, like 3.5, 4 hours later, it was a sauna in that stairwell, and we were all just dying in there. And when I was going through the first time, I thought, oh my God, I wasn't paying attention necessarily to those around me, but I was like, oh my God, I could barely move my legs. And then I noticed no one else could either. And that made me feel so good. Thank you guys for having exhaustion just like I did. But I watched the elites run through it today, and I could tell, I could see the pain on their faces trying to do that. It made me feel just a little bit better. It also helped me realize just how much separation there is from me to them. But granted, they're at least 10 years to 20 years younger than me. Yay, But still, I mean, Vasilo and some of those other guys raced through there, Kevin Gelati, so forth. They just raced through there and got it done. And that's where I've got to get myself to. And I've got to get myself back to, because I feel like I'm falling behind. The fact that there was about a 40+ minute separation, 40 minute separation between me and the top elites is very troubling to me. I haven't looked to see what Vasilo's time was, because he'll be a more accurate barometer for the age group I'm looking at, and so I'll see just how far back I was. Another thing I noticed just watching the elites in person is that out of that first wave of 15, there were several guys I saw coming in at least 10, maybe even 15 minutes behind Robert Killian. They were coming in as I was standing there in the corral or in the aisle to get down to the field. I saw some people coming in that I was just like, wow, I can't believe they're this far back. And after doing the race, I kind of get it, right? Those stairs were brutal, and they just really crushed me. Now, I did mention this in my post-wrap video, all the cramping I had. In the first lap, I caught a major foot cramp coming down off the rope, where my big toe curled underneath my foot. It was just really amazing to see, really not fun to experience, but I'd never even dreamed of something happening like that. I literally had to stop and massage my foot out for about 5 minutes, 80 yards from the finish. Can you believe that? And the second lap, I pretty much was just running with cramps firing up all over the place. And when I went to jump up on the rope on that second lap, both legs from my quads down to my feet completely cramped up, and I had to take another 5 minutes and just rest and stretch out my legs so I could get up the rope and finish that race. And then how about putting those assault bikes right there at the end? And my strategy going into that was pick the last assault bike. That way when you got off the bike, you didn't have as far to run to the gauntlet. I'm not sure that was the smartest mental move though, because I'm literally sitting there and I could reach out and touch the heavy bags, and yet it's still another couple of minutes away. And to put that in perspective, literally Tuesday I was in the gym, and I was pushing as hard as I could on those assault bikes in the gym to see how fast I could get 15 calories, and I got it in 40 seconds at one point. 2.5 minutes is what it took me at the end of that first race. I don't even know what it was in the open class. They had it down to 10 calories, but it was around just under 2.5, so you can see just how strained I was. And I was still catching cramps last night. I'm feeling great today. I can feel the effects of the race. It's not that usual that I feel kind of the soreness and the stiffness that I've got today, the day after the race. So, overall, for those of you who ran the AT&T Stadium Sprint yesterday and you're like, oh wow, I thought these stadium races were easy. Okay, they're not necessarily easy just because sometimes you see those times are really short, like that half-hour time from Killian and those guys. I don't know how they did it. I really don't, to be honest with you. But AT&T Stadium is the hardest stadium race. And, I get to run up here at Palmerton because it's not that far from me up here at Blue Mountain. And to me, that's the hardest race I've done so far. But yesterday's race, I think I felt worse physically and after and during the race than I did last year running the Super at Blue Mountain. And the Super at Blue Mountain was completely out in the sun, whereas yesterday's race was mostly inside in 70-degree climate-controlled temperatures. But I will give you this, the vertical change in that stadium beats the crap out of you compared to the vertical change out there at Blue Mountain. I don't care what anybody says, it's brutal going up and down those stairwells and all the different they just take advantage of that so well at these races. So with that, thanks a lot for everybody coming out to the race and finding me and saying, hey, thanks for the video that I posted the other day. It meant a lot to me. Just seeing the numbers on that video tells me that this is something that everybody kind of wants and needs. It's just good resources, and that's something I have been working on, and hopefully I'll have a good announcement for that here in the next day or so as I'm trying to finish up something I've actually been trying to work on for the last year, but I finally got a little bit of time now to get it wrapped up the way I want to get it wrapped up, and that's going to be SpartanObstacles.com. So I hope you're going to be able to check that out, and I've got some plans for that, but I want to keep them under wraps till I kind of got some things more baked a little further along, but I want you to kind of pay attention and be aware of those things. But again, thanks for everybody coming out and give me, thanks for doing that video. It meant a lot to me. I hope I wasn't distant, because a lot of you were talking to me after I finished the first lap, and I got to tell you, mentally, I was a little bit gone. And then after the second lap, even on the way to the car, people were coming up to me, oh, you're the guy with the video. I was so tired. I could barely walk to make it to the car. So if I was a little distant, I totally apologize. I really would like to engage a lot better. I'm not necessarily the best social person one-on-one, but anyway, thanks a lot, guys. That really was encouraging, and I'm so glad I was able to do that and help everybody out, because this is something I really enjoy doing, despite the cramps and all that kind of stuff. And I got to talk to and meet a lot of people at the race yesterday, and it just really made it a lot of fun going home to my home state, to the area that I grew up in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and running a race in the stadium, the NFL franchise that I grew up idolizing as a kid. Not so much these days, but as a kid, those were the guys that I loved, and being able to work to do something like that in that house is amazing. And I hope it was for you too. Hey, thanks a lot, and hopefully you enjoyed your trip to AT&T Stadium. And if you haven't done a Spartan race yet, don't worry, I'm gonna have some resources to help you out. I hope you wanna go and sign up. And if you haven't done a stadium race yet, there's still a lot of stadiums left. St. Louis, actually Phoenix is next, St. Louis, which I'll be at St. Louis, and then here in Philadelphia, and then there'll be Chicago, which I'm planning on going to as well, and Boston, 2 days in Fenway, and then they'll wrap up at AT&T Park, which I will not be at. At least that's not the plan at this point. So anyway, thanks a lot, guys. I'll talk to you later.